take a selfish person, an egoistic person, an angry person, a person with temper problems, is suffering because of the negativity. But we have a choice to not suffer. So this is the mental insulation that we need to develop through understanding. Like if we get affected, then you've lost the game. And you get affected when your mind gets involved and your intellect is not alert enough. So you have to first take the decision that I refuse to suffer for someone else's mistakes or bad qualities.
Namaste and welcome to a special episode. It's a listeners' special episode where we'll be discussing your questions with Jayaji. And I'm your host, Ajay, as always. So, Jayaji, you just got back from Renukut, where you were doing a school program. But is there something that you brought back from that trip that you'd like to share?
Yes, the kids there, they were from the 8th standard. They were very receptive. And when I said things once, they picked it up. Even subtle concepts like sattva, rajas, tamas, what they are. So it was very encouraging for us. And now what we want to do is scale it up so that we cover more schools. Have maybe bits of it online and a teacher-assisted program kind of thing. So I'm very, very hopeful of being able to cover more schools and more children.
Isn't one of the things you mentioned earlier when we were speaking is about the pace of life and like the expectations and just the kind of lives that they live. It's quite different from the city life here where we are in Mumbai. So, how does that kind of does it impact receptivity to the messaging of the Gita or spiritual knowledge?
Yes, I think it definitely adds to their receptivity because they have less distractions. Of course, now internet is all over the place.
Yeah.
But life is still simple there. The air is purer, they are closer to nature. And so they don't feel that thar rush of urban life, which we feel here. And in fact, coming back from there, as the plane was about to land, we saw traffic on the streets of Mumbai and say, oh boy, we're back.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very pleasant experience. And sometimes I wonder why we have to get into this. Where even children are rushing. They come back from school, they go to tuition, they come back, they go somewhere else. And they are also pressured. Whereas in Renukut, there are no tuitions. And yet they perform well.
Yeah. And it made me think that, about the value of simplicity in life. And sometimes I feel like we've raised the baseline, at least in the urban world, across the world, I feel, in cities, that the baseline has gone up so much that even like what we would consider treats, maybe growing up in my childhood or in your childhood, now just seem like, oh, it's like, oh, it's just a pizza, right? Or it's just a Korean cream cheese bun, for example. I mean, I'm just giving a random example, but it feels like sometimes the less you have, the more you're able to appreciate the good things in life. Is that really like? Is it necessary to have less to appreciate it more? Like,
No.
I mean,
It's just that we have been programmed to think that more is more. The more you have, the more you enjoy, which is not true.
yeah,
It's the reverse, in fact, because as you get kind of neutralized, accustomed to the good things of life, like you said, you have a chocolate every day, then there is no treat.
Exactly.
Whereas your generation, of course, had a little bit. But my generation, I remember we had chocolates only as a treat, and we didn't have different kinds of food, different cuisines.
Yep.
We just had regular home food every day and we learned to enjoy it.
Yep.
And once in a way, when we got a treat, my God, that was a celebration. Now, today, to get a child to celebrate something, very soon you'll have to take them to the moon. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this doesn't mean that we should have less, but you can savor the ordinary things of life. You can teach yourself to savor the ordinary things of life, and this happens when your mind is quiet. So when your mind is at peace, you can appreciate even ordinary things of life, like a sunrise or a sunset or just plain dal chawal. But now we have programmed ourselves to believe that you can enjoy only when you have more. That is the fallacy.
Yep. No, I think the value of simplicity is something that every single one of us, wherever we are on the spiritual path or not on it, can take back into our lives, because, like you said, it helps you to appreciate life a lot more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With that, we'll move to the first question. One of the viewer questions is, so he says there are some relationships that one has to maintain in life, right? But they still affect us negatively. So how can the principles of the Gita help us in these situations, in these relationships?
Yes, this is a problem that we all face at some point in time. And perhaps the first thing that we need to understand is that the person cannot change. So what we do is we expect the other person to change. And when that does not happen, we get frustrated, agitated. So that's the first step, to understand this is not going to change. Because it's difficult to change even when you want to change. Like maybe you want to change.
Yeah.
You want to be more punctual. You want to exercise every day. There's so many things we want to do, but we're unable to do, even though we're trying and we're aware. How do you expect a person who does not even know and is not trying to change?
Yeah.
So once you accept that, then your mind is at peace. At least you have no unreasonable expectations from the person. Then we have to understand that that person is suffering. Let's take a selfish person, an egoistic person, an angry person, a person with temper problems, is suffering because of the negativity. But we have a choice to not suffer. So this is the mental insulation that we need to develop through understanding. Like if we get affected, then you've lost the game. And you get affected when your mind gets involved and your intellect is not alert enough. So you have to first take the decision that I refuse to suffer for someone else's mistakes or bad qualities. It's like if you fall and my leg gets fractured, does it make sense? So when you understand that, then you say, I refuse to suffer. Like Dr. Viktor Frankl's narration is of the concentration camp. Yeah. And he said, apart from physical torture, it's the mental torture. They said very hurtful, nasty things. So he figured a way of not allowing it to get to him. He said, what are they doing? They're just arranging the letters of the alphabet in a particular way. I have the choice of rearranging them. And that's a wonderful way of looking at things. So you insulate yourself from, physically you can't, because the question is that you have to maintain that relationship. So you can't do anything about it. What you can do is insulate yourself mentally. Then you also understand that that person is operating from the mind. And if you use your intellect, you're in a winning position. So you then figure out how to deal with different people. And that is a a skill that Vedanta teaches us, that the Bhagavad Gita teaches us.
It's not easy. I know what you're saying, but it's not easy to like say, okay, I'm not like someone is. It's like a woodpecker pecking at you all the time. At some, or that's a bad example. It's like a mosquito biting you every like 2 minutes, and then you're trying to shoo it off. Okay, but at some point you're gonna be like, okay, I need to like deal with the mosquito itself, right? So, at what point do you say, you know, it's enough? Like I can't deal with this kind of energy on a day-to-day basis, right? It's what I'm saying is, where do we draw the line, right?
Yes.
There's a line somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing, and the other thing is, why should I put myself in a situation where uh, I have to work that much harder to be normal, to be at my base like mental level? When if I change my environment, then I don't have to work. I can actually focus on something like more positive. Like here, I'm fighting to just maintain my calm or just be status quo. Forget about spiritual evolution. So it's not that easy sometimes.
No, it isn't. But see, there is your choice. Depending on our level, our capacity to, number one, not get affected, and number two, deal with the situation increases as your level increases. Then even the worst kind of person you can happily deal with without getting affected. But we are all at different levels. So we need to understand that at this level, am I able to deal with the situation, or am I just falling apart? And if you get to that situation, then you need to physically separate.
Yeah.
You have no choice. But that is like giving in. It's like losing the battle.
Yeah.
And not only that, if this is your level and you're weak, then every other relationship also will give you the same.
Exactly.
So
So
it's
you
not
just be
just
jumping
one.
from one relationship to another.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think sometimes we underestimate how much power we have within us to control how we respond to how we operate in a relationship, right? Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's not, you're not always you can change your status from that of a victim to that of like someone who's more in control of the situation,
Yeah.
right?
See, the important thing here is to find out or to identify what is it that I want to do in my life. Forget the other person. Instead of being victimized by the person, you take control of your life and say, what is it that I want to do? And do it with enthusiasm, with excitement, with engagement. And then that becomes secondary.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where that is.
The next question is like short and sweet, and it says, the questioner asks, how do I know if my mind is negative?
The intellect is aware, mind is not aware. So we do a lot of things during the day which we are not aware of. So negativity just passes by and you're not aware of it. So what we recommend is a mental diary at the end of the day. And then you go over your day's activities in one order, not backward and forward. And then you find over time that you are aware of more things than before. And you realize, oh my God, I'm negative. So it's the awareness. Second thing is, whenever you're negative, your mind gets agitated.
Exactly.
So that's a sure shot way of knowing.
Yeah. So through introspection is one, and the other is from the symptoms.
Yes, the result.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to build on that question further. So if my mind is negative, then what can I do to change that direction? So, okay, let's say I've understood that my mind is negative. What can I do to turn it into, change them into more positive thoughts?
By becoming aware
Hmm.
that I am negative and you see the consequences of that negativity. You're not able to maintain friends, you don't have any friends, you have whatever relationships you have, there is conflict there, and you're a disturbed person. So with this comes the desire for freedom, which we call as mumukshatva.
Yeah.
You want to break free from this hell that you've put yourself into, where your mind is agitated. And then this desire allows you to see the other side of it. You look at others who are more peaceful, who are happier with friends, who are not negative. Or you read, or you watch a movie, or whatever. And then that attracts you. Positive always has an attraction.
Yeah.
And then you say, I want to be like this. So you have a goal, an interim goal, and you work towards it. Every time you're negative, or every time you snap at people, every time you're egoistic with someone, and it comes back to you as agitation, you say, oh, I could have done this differently. So at least in retrospect, you understand. And then as you go along and you think, you yourself change.
We can move on to the next question now. So this is someone who's listened to every single episode of the show. So that's a
very encouraging.
yeah, that's a very special listener. So she says, I have listened to all 14 episodes, each one so uplifting, enlightening, and interesting. I have taken so much from the podcasts, but I have a question. What if what you desire is a need, not a want? Because we all have wants, but there are things that we need as well. So I think she's probably asking in the context of desire being an impediment to happiness. So I think that's where she's coming from, probably.
Yes. See, the Bhagavad Gita has reached out to every kind of person. A person with a lot of desires, a person with less desires, a person at a lower level of spiritual development, high level. So basically, it tells us that there are two categories of desires. One, that they are so powerful that you have to plow through them, meaning you have to fulfill them. The other, you can sublimate. And that quality of sublimation is a great savior, because we have millions of desires, and now if you had to fulfill each one, it'll take forever.
Yeah.
But just as when a child grows into a teenager, all childhood desires vanish. So
Yeah.
that is sublimation. So ideally, that is the path for us. We should grow to higher levels, and as we go there, lower levels, lower desires get sublimated. But all of us get stuck with certain strong desires. Like a cricketer, like Virat Kohli, for instance, had a strong desire for cricket. Now, you can't sublimate that.
Yeah.
You have to act it out. So that is karma yoga in essence. So you identify your strong desires, which she says is need.
Yeah.
It's a need. But you go through it in such a way that it doesn't rebound as more desires, as more bondage to that. So you need to fix a higher desire. Say you're playing cricket for your country, not just for personal fame and money and stuff. Then what happens is the desire gets fulfilled. You don't add more. So your net, you're okay. Your desires have reduced. So you have to be able to identify what is your need and what is an indulgence. Like desire to marry is not something that you can sublimate if you have a strong desire.
Yeah.
Desire to, I don't know, whatever. But desire for a designer bag, for instance, desire for an expensive vacation can be sublimated. Especially if you are working for a higher cause.
Yeah.
Then you say, what difference does it make? In fact, you make it your purpose, like simplifying life. And you develop higher desires so that you have actually no desire for such things. So it doesn't even tempt you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what you're saying is that desire in itself is not a bad thing.
No.
We just have to distinguish between desires that we can sublimate or desires that are kind of peripheral and core desires. Like core desires where we feel like these are things that I need to address. Because then what happens is I use the desire as a stepping stone to my next
Level.
level of spiritual evolution.
Absolutely. You put
Right.
it very well.
So I don't think we need to shun desire, right? I
No,
think
no.
see the issue with religion has been that this whole looking at things as, oh, this is bad and this is good, and trying to see the world as black and white, but it's not like that. It can never work like that,
No.
right?
See, first of all, it's a divine creation, right? The whole universe,
Yeah.
the world. How can it be bad?
Exactly.
It's only our approach
Thinking.
to it, our thinking, that makes it bad or good.
Yeah. So I hope that explanation has addressed our viewer's question. The next question. So he says there are a lot of forces governing us or influencing us. So when Jayaji says we have control of how we think, there are times we have to surrender to these forces, or example is jobs. So basically, what he's saying is sometimes we have jobs, we have our work, and we have stuff to do. But in and through that, how do we integrate this spiritual quest into what is otherwise seen as a more mundane task? Like if I'm a banker, or if I'm a singer or an artist or whatever. But how do I turn that into something that'll help my spiritual quest?
Okay, see, the first thing we need to understand is that when we work for an organization or even for an NGO or whatever it is, there are certain things over which we have no control. Like an employee has no control over the corporate decisions that top management takes.
Of course.
Even if you belong to an NGO, the head decides.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that are beyond our control, which may be right, which may be wrong. But since it's beyond our control, we don't need to think about it much. What we need to focus on is what is under our control and do it to the best of our ability, dedicate it to a higher cause, and do it with enthusiasm, with excitement, with commitment. Then you grow as a person. And the law is that you get what you deserve, right?
Yeah.
So when you develop merit, you will deserve it. Miraculously, your environment changes. But it takes time, depending on your level and the amount of effort that you put in. So, like, for instance, the story of Prahlad. Prahlad was the son of the demon, Hiranyakashipu. And all of them were demons. So when Hiranyakashipu was killed and he was made king, his influence on all of them was so great that all the demons became righteous. So that is at a very high level. But even within our scope, an ordinary person.
Sphere of influence.
Yes. Within our sphere of influence, we can make a difference.
Yep.
And if we do that, instead of worrying about or talking about things that are beyond our control and getting agitated about it, we make a bad situation good. So it all depends on our attitude. And even in the best of situations, if you have a negative attitude, you can always find things wrong.
Yeah. And I think this ties in very closely to the spirit of yajna that they talk about in chapter 3, right? You can turn anything, almost anything, into an act of devotion or an act of karma yoga, actually.
Worship.
An act of worship, correct. So I think that's fundamentally what the answer would be, right?
Yes.
So
And it has such a magical effect. It could be a simple thing like a street sweeper.
yeah.
You know, I've experienced it myself. Every day I used to go for a walk. There was a street sweeper who would do his work with so much joy, so much happiness, and greet every walker who passed by. And his work was 100%, not one leaf would be left on the street. And now every day I would wonder, how does he do a mundane job like sweeping a street with so much excitement and happiness?
Yeah.
So, if my learning from that was that if he could do it with so much enthusiasm, why can't I do what I'm doing with enthusiasm?
Yeah.
So, any job can be done. A person who sings with this attitude just transforms the listeners.
Yeah.
So, it's up to us.
So we have one more question where the viewer asks, why do I feel empty even after achieving what I wanted? I think that's like it's $1 million question at some level. So
Okay, it's like this. Let's take the example of a child at home. The mother has gone out for some chores, and the child starts crying and asks for things. Now, the maid or whoever is the babysitter gives the child whatever the child is asking for. The child is quiet for a while and then again starts crying. And this goes on till the mother comes. And when the mother comes, she does something different. So she understands that what the child really needs is food. The child is hungry. The child doesn't know that it's hungry. So it's asking for random things.
yeah.
If she were to give it only food, the child would reject it because the child is locked on to something. So she does something interesting. She gives the child what the child is asking for. And before the child can realize this is not what I want, she slips a morsel of food in the mouth.
Yeah.
Now the child is quiet. We are like that. We don't know what we want in life. We want happiness. We're grabbing at things.
Yeah.
We just don't know. The Bhagavad Gita is called Mother Gita. And what the Gita does is exactly what a mother does with a child. So we are asking for money, we're asking for name, fame, whatever. The Gita gives us a formula for success, where you can be successful, prosperous, happy. But it also gives a morsel of spiritual food, which is the fullness.
Yeah.
Now, the concept is that we are all full, paripurna. But for some reason, we don't know it. Now, when you don't know it, you imagine an emptiness. And that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that emptiness will not go, whatever you do.
Because it's imaginary.
Yes.
It's not real. So yeah.
So you may be, like recently an ad has come, we are number one in the whole world. Even then, you feel empty.
Yeah.
Because you haven't discovered this source of fullness within. Now, what we need to do is what the mother has done. What the Bhagavad Gita does is, all right, you're asking for money in this, get it. But alongside, don't forget to give yourself that spiritual food. And once we understand it, then like for instance, you go about your life, you want a fancy car, you want luxury, you by all means go and get it. The Gita is not against it.
Yeah.
It doesn't recommend asceticism. It says go ahead and get whatever you want in the world. But don't forget that that is not what will fulfill you.
Yeah. A very pertinent thought for us to close today's show. Shall we end it with the invocation? Yeah.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us for today's listener special episode. I think that, the reason why we've done the listener special is to, I think, remind ourselves that, asking questions, questioning ourselves, questioning what we're listening to is always important. Don't take, just because something is said on this podcast, It is the gospel truth. Um, I think the whole spirit of Vedanta is that of inquiry, is that of questioning. And if we don't delve deeper and ask ourselves questions, ask and verify, validate what this knowledge is all about, it can never really become a part of your life. So we're really happy that you've all asked so many questions, and please continue to do so. Leave them in the comments, and we'll be very happy to take them up on the show the next time we do a listener special. All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.